We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. Get off his fucking neck. That makes you know he can't fucking breathe. That makes you know we are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning. This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, we're just about done with this shit for the year. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel here with me to break down all the shit talking and shenanigans, the fight announcements and fuckeries that has trickled out the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all that, first and foremost, gentlemen, how you doing over there?
Happy fucking Thursday. And that's all I have to say about that.
Fair enough.
I'm not that happy it's Thursday. I got to work through the weekend, but I'm happy we're almost there. We're almost to the fucking fights. It's been rough having the off week. It's going to be rough having a whole month plus with no fucking fights, man.
Yeah,
Getting
6
close
weeks.
to the end of the football season. This is that time of year where shit gets depressing. Hopefully these fights pay off.
Yeah, no shit.
Ready for some fights, period.
Yeah, having a week off is nice once in a while, but sometimes it sucks. And this was one of those where, as nice as that week off was, I absolutely am ready to see somebody punch somebody else in the goddamn face again. So that being said, we are going to jump right in and kick things off here the way that we like to, with a little bit of news and recent events, fight announcements, fight cancellations, official rumor confirmations or denials, all those relevant things in the combat sports world that we feel you folks need to be aware of here. Kind of a weird one here with the whole letting go, but we did get some good news to kick things off here. Chris Barnett has absolutely landed on his feet. He is signed with Karate Combat and will be making his debut tomorrow night. They have Karate Combat going on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. I did not even realize that it was tomorrow night. I thought it was next week, so I completely forgot it in the combat sports menu for this week. So those of you who are watching the show and missed that, you're well aware. That being said,
let me add to that too, because you might want to tune in. Smiling Sam will be defending his title against Robles Despana over there.
yeah.
So that'll be an interesting
hell
one.
of a card that they've got as well. I think there's 7 UFC ex-UFC fighters on that card. 6 or 7 UFC ex-UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And then the main event is Smiling Sam versus Robles Despana for the fucking heavyweight belt. So.
And all I can say for Karate Combat is it's fucking good for a lot of those aging fighters, especially guys like Sam Alvey, who he's had a career resurgence. He's won 5 fucking fights over there, and he's the current title holder.
Yep.
It turns some lives around.
Yeah, I'm not mad at what Karate Combat is doing over there for the fighters at all. So there will absolutely be some good fights to tune into tomorrow evening. That being said, we got some kind of confusing news in the UFC side of things here. We got official confirmation this week from Dana and the UFC that Ilia Topuria has officially, and I'm saying this with air quotes for those of you just listening, stepped away from the fight game for a while, as he is about to move for a 3rd time in 2 years, because now he is divorcing his wife. So kind of an interesting situation here, considering Ilya dropped the 145 belt to go up to 155, wins the 155 belt, and then immediately steps away from the sport. So we're not sure how long he's going to be, quote unquote, stepped away from the sport for a while. But what we do know is that while he is gone, Dana White took advantage of that opportunity to make several big announcements for the UFC going forward here. The first one, starting tomorrow, the UFC's official seasonal press conferences that they used to do once a quarter, once upon a great time. They have not done them since 2022, I believe. And Dana said they are officially bringing those back for the Paramount Plus era, starting this weekend for the first quarter of 2026. Now, the reason that that's such a big deal is because the first quarter of 2026 has had its first couple of big cards announced this week by Dana himself. UFC 324 will be taking place in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena on January 24th. It will be headlined by Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight belt, thanks to Ilya stepping away. And the co-main event will be Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes for the 135-pound ladies belts. Several good fights already announced on that card as well. One of them unintentionally and unofficially, because right after the UFC 324 announcement, the official UFC Brazil X account, if that's what you want to call it, Twitter for, normal Pope, officially put out a tweet saying that at UFC 324, not only was the lightweight interim strap on the line, not only was the ladies bantamweight strap on the line, but also unofficially, according to the UFC Brazil card, was going to be Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira for the BMF title on the line. Apparently that was not confirmed, officially speaking, and someone in Brazil is going to get in a whole bunch of trouble because they have since deleted that. Charles Oliveira did say that they have been in talks to potentially fight with Max, but no contracts have been signed. Nothing is official yet. So somebody got ahead of their fucking skis there and tried to be the first one to let the news out when the news wasn't even news yet, which is one of many reasons why I have no interest whatsoever in being the first to bring you a story in the combat sports world. If you are looking for cutting edge journalism in the MMA world, this is not the show for you, because I make a point to not go out and be the first to say things. I will not tell you something until I personally have looked it up and verified it with at least 2 reputable fucking sources, if not coming directly from the official source itself. So I have no interest in being the first to make announcements like that. Whoever's running that UFC Brazil channel, on the other hand, try to make themselves a little popular, and it backfired big time. So we'll see how that plays out. The other half of that announcement, though, was that Dana had let us know that not only was UFC 324 going to be taking place January 24th, but the following week, just 7 days later, January 31st, will be UFC 325 live from Sydney, Australia. And the main event for UFC 325 will be Alex Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2 for the featherweight belt. Kind of an interesting situation. They haven't announced any other big fights on UFC 325 yet, but we did get official confirmation of a fight that is not going to be taking place on UFC 325, and that is Sean Strickland versus Fluffy Hernandez. Sean confirmed that the UFC did offer him that fight in Australia, and he said no, he's not going to Australia again. It has not been fun for him anytime he's been down there, so he's not going back. I do have a feeling that that Hernandez fight, the Fluffy versus Strickland, is probably something that's going to try and be remade somewhere other than UFC 325 now. But Strickland did confirm they offered him the fight, and he said no. He's done with Australia for a while. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll see what they build around Vulcan Lopez too. So could be real interesting here. Ironically, right after the announcement for UFC 325's main event, we got another interesting announcement here. Lerone Murphy, who was very much expecting to be the next contender for that 145-pound belt, did an interview yesterday and said that once he got word of the announcement of UFC 325 and the fact that he was not getting the title shot, he has, and I quote, fallen out of love with MMA and decided that he's going to step away for the foreseeable future. Whether this is just him in his feelings right now, or whether he is genuinely such a butthurt little bitch that he's going to quit fighting because he didn't get a title shot that he realistically didn't have locked up, it remains to be seen. But either way, not a good fucking look. We've seen how well it works out when guys tell the UFC, if I don't get a title shot, blah, blah, blah. Very rarely do they get that title shot. We'll see how this plays out for Lerone, but definitely not a good start for him. Last one I've got for the news segment for this week. We got a little bit more of an update here. I know a lot of folks have been wondering since it went down, and we haven't got a whole lot publicly. We did this week. We got a huge update from Tom Aspinall. He basically put out a series of videos where you go to all of his doctor's appointments with him to see what's going on, what's going on with his eye following that eye poke from 322. As of right now, Aspinall has officially been diagnosed with Brown's syndrome of the eyes. Basically, what that means is that he is still seeing double vision. He's having serious light impairment issues, and he cannot physically force his eyeballs to look up. The good part about that is that they said they have seen no fractures, no permanent damage in the eye well or the eye socket itself. There does not appear to be any permanent damage to the soft tissue of the eye. At this point, it's just a matter of waiting for the swelling in the eye socket itself to go down a little more to find out if it's just a matter of a surface bruise on the eyeball or if there is some serious damage that's going to have to be addressed. But at this point, even Tom's doctors are looking positive that this is just going to be a matter of giving it a little more time to calm down, because he literally got fingers jammed into his fucking eyeballs, knuckles deep, and then subsequently got shit from fucking moron fans for being a quitter when they showed the replay and both eyes knuckles deep. So Tom is on the mend. How long that's going to take before he is mended up enough to get back in and run that fight back, we still unfortunately do not know. But at this point, at least it looks like it is no permanent damage inside of the eye socket. So as long as the eyeball itself heals up properly, everything should be good to go here before too long. That being said, that is what I've got for news this week. Anyone of you gentlemen have anything that I might have missed?
No, not currently.
All right. Sounds good then. Well, in that case, being as how this is UFC 323 week, that means a couple of things here for the show. One, that means that we are here to talk about a pay-per-view card this evening, which means we also will be back to talk about a pay-per-view card Saturday, an hour before those fights start. Me and this guy, wait, he's over here. Me and this guy here will be here to bring you all of the latest updates and lead you into the UFC pay-per-view 323 card right up until the fights start. That also means that this fine evening, wait, he's over there. This gentleman over here is going to give us our crowd favorite segment, the casual corner here before we get into our cans and contenders in just a little bit.
Oh yeah,
That being said, how you doing over there, Flintlock?
I'm good. How are you?
I am here. That is what we are going with. But we have got ourselves a pay-per-view, and once again, we have got ourselves a pair of title fights at the top of this pay-per-view card. So we've got to get your opinion here, sir, in our co-main event. We have got the flyweight belt on the line. Alexandre Pantoja is defending his strap against up-and-comer Joshua Van. How do you think that one plays out?
Well, I'm just gonna say that Van takes it. That's wholeheartedly what I want it to happen. I just want Van. To be honest, I just want him to put him to sleep.
I can definitely see that. So the other side of that coin here will be our main event. And in that main event, we have got Marab the Machine Dvalishvili taking on Piotr Yan in the rematch for the bantamweight strap. How do you think that one's going to shake loose?
I mean, the same way it shakes loose every time Rob gets in there. He's just gonna throw him to the ground.
Yeah, there is definitely a damn good possibility for that as well. So thank you very much for your casual opinions this evening, sir. Always appreciate it.
I will catch you guys later.
That being said, that will bring us to the point in the show where if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been watching combat sports, you start to learn what you like to watch and when it comes on and what the best way to watch it is. And before too long, you start to develop a set of blinders, if you will, and you start to lose the forest for the trees. Luckily for us here on the show, we've got ourselves a bona fide young person out there diligently and delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world for us to help keep us abreast of all the big names that are going to be bigger names before they're even household names. A little segment that we like to call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. Start with the trash. This card should be pretty decent, at least on paper. Hopefully, we get some of those what the fuck moments, some decent moments here. But start with the for sure garbage. Cejudo is kicking himself out once again, and good for him because he really didn't need this last fight. I think Peyton Talbot's gonna beat the shit out of him, but we'll see how it really goes. But Cejudo retired long ago, and I feel like in a good way. He went out on top, and him coming back has just been pretty pointless. He's lost every fight he's had since coming back from retirement. You've got the Antonio Tricoli guy. He's already proven that he can't make weight and has looked pretty shitty in his. I think he's only had the one fight so far, but I would expect he's kind of the punching bag this weekend. And you got Ibo Aslan, another one at light heavyweight, who's been extremely boring in his last couple fights. Just put on some of the worst fights of the year. And yeah, I got to be honest. Even though I root for my Italian buddy, Marvin Vittori versus Bruno Ferreira is a fight, I got a feeling is going to be one of those shitty fights on this card unless Vittori gets knocked out. But I have to be honest, as much as I root for Vittori, throw that in the garbage, throw him in the garbage, and then I got Faris Ziam. In that fight, in that situation, against Nazim Sadikov as well, I think Ziam is not. He's had a couple exciting moments, like his knockout against Matt Frevola was fun and all, but overall, through the UFC career so far, hasn't shown himself to be a true contender. So threw that one in the garbage as well. The shit on the fence, the ladies' fight between Karine Silva and Macy Barber. It's been so long since Macy's been able to fight. We don't even know if she'll actually make it to the fight with how the shit went earlier this year. But if the fight does go on, I would think both those girls are fairly young. Macy's had the better potential. It should be an exciting fight, but it's an on the fence situation for me. And then you got Jan versus Bogdan. I think that could be a hell of a fun fight. The Uzbeki versus the Polish man, but Jan, he can dominate some fights in some really boring ways, and he has gotten older too. So if this doesn't end in a finish in one way or another, I feel like this could be one of those snooze fests as much as it could be interesting. So I threw that on the fence, and then everything that I've got in the contender spot, the obvious co-main event, the main event. They could go like last month where Pantoja and Marab just absolutely dominate, and we don't get the greatest fight as a fan like we got last month with the pay-per-view. Um, but these fights could also be so fun. Peter Yan being fully healthy could pose some challenges to Marab with the striking. He's got the power in his hands as well. So one shot is all it ever takes. He could have that special moment for either one of them. With Josh Van, same thing. He can make it a really fun fight like he did against Roy Val. He could get the one shot. I think both those fights will be fun. I think Nazim Sadikov, Peyton Talbot are some of those. Continue to watch, see if they can grow and build. After Peyton's tough loss to Ronnie Barcelos, he built back. He had a really good win against Felipe Lima. If he beats Henry Cejudo, even though he's on the end of the career, it helps. The kid has some building to do. Same with Nazim Sadikov in the lightweight division, but they're potential contenders. As for the really fun fights on this card, I feel like it's obvious the Chris Duncan and Terrence McKinney fight. That's a fight that I've been wanting to see for a while now. They've been calling each other out. It's finally happening. Both of them are on a little winning streak. Terrence McKinney literally has finished every win that he's ever had in the first round. He's either he's the get or get got kind of guy. He finishes guys or gets finished. Jalen Turner coming out of retirement, taking on Edson Barbosa. I think that's a good test to see where Jalen could maybe be, just mentally and everything. Edson's working on the end of his career. He's just a good veteran test still. He has not really faded off too much. He's still shown he can stick with some of those tough guys. He can strike pretty well with them. So we'll see how Jalen can do. He had that rough losing streak before he tried to retire. We'll see if he can be there mentally, but that fight could be fun as hell. You've got Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, Grant Dawson, and Manuel Torres. I think those fights could be fun too. Whoever comes out on those has a good chance to build themselves up in the rankings. we'll see how things go. There's some fun to be had here, luckily, because we've got this and one more card left of the year and a whole month plus before we get any fights. So luckily, they're giving us one good one next weekend's. Got a few fun fights, but it's definitely a hangover card after this one. So they're not treating us special 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully, these fights really do us a justice and we can have something to hold on to for almost 2 fucking months, honestly. Uh, See what you boys got to say about it. Yeah, I know there is, like I said, there's a few pieces of shit, but this is the one grace that we get left for quite a while.
Well, this is my farewell tour for the year. So I'll put that out there right now because I will not be here next week. I will be in transit to Florida at the time and dealing with some family stuff going on there. Anyhow, um, as far as this card is concerned, I will say I'm very happy that I get to watch this card this weekend because I'm glad I'm missing next weekend's because next weekend's is not it. Now, I'm not saying this one is absolutely perfect because it's not, but there is quite a bit to be fucking excited about there. I'm excited to see an aging Edson Barboza and fucking Jalen Turner go at it. I mean, we all know fucking Edson's on the fucking 18th fucking fairway walking towards the green right now, but he's still fucking dangerous. And well, Jalen for me has always been a fucking hit or miss fighter, so that one has some potential to it. And do you know how good it is to see Marvin Vittori on an early prelim card? Fucking great. Finally where he fucking belongs. Thank you. No, I'm not saying there's a couple others that shouldn't be on there, a la fucking Macy Barber and Karina Silva, but I mean, I just don't think that that fight is going to be all that interesting. That's one that you can move on past. The only reason it has any potential is because there could be some movement in the flyweight division. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to that fight. I don't think either one of those girls has what it takes to take the title at this point. So, moving on. Of course, we're always a big fan of Terrence McKinney. And I mean, he's going to be fighting the Scott and Chris Duncan. Uh, there's a whole lot of potential there. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because I'm not gonna touch everything here because, well, it just doesn't feel necessary because there's quite a bit of good on here. So we're gonna stick with kind of the good stuff here. I am very interested in seeing Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov. Guskov just drives forward. Jan's gonna have to use some fucking wrestling because unfortunately I hate to be the one to say this, but I think his Polish power has left him, which is a fucking unfortunate thing. And who knows? He might prove me wrong this weekend, and I would love to see it because I'm a big fan of Jan Blachowicz. I mean, dude's a former light heavyweight champ, but the dude's been there, done that. At this point, he has nothing to prove other than maybe trying to make one more run, but he's got to pull some shit together to make that happen. Um, and can we get a good fucking round of applause for fucking Peyton Talbot on the goddamn mic? On everybody loved Old Yeller at one point, but eventually he has to be put down. What a way to throw fucking shade at Henry Cejudo. This fight is fucking exciting to me purely for that reason. I don't think Henry Cejudo is going to win this fight. I think this is just their way of throwing Peyton into the fucking ranking system. And we all know, regardless of how it turns out, Henry said on multiple occasions he is fucking retiring because if he doesn't, they will fire him. They will cut him. He already knows. So unless he was to win in some spectacular ass fashion, they're gonna cut it. So he's retiring instead, going out on his terms. Congratulations, even though you already went out on your terms once. Flyweight bout in Brandon Moreno and Tatsu Taira. That's got some fucking hot potential to it. There's a whole lot that can happen in flyweight there. Do I think that okay, let me put it this way. Depending on how that fight goes, if somebody gets a fucking phenomenal stoppage, somebody is getting an immediate title shot in the winner of fucking Pantoja and Van. Of course, I don't even have to mention that fight because we know that's going to be a banger. Joshua Van is some of the cleanest boxing skills and is one of the few fighters on the entire fucking UFC roster that actively hunts the body. Nobody else does that. He actively hunts the body. His boxing IQ is fucking amazing. Granted, this is MMA, but he also has a very great takedown defense. And while with Pantoja, we know it only takes fucking one. He has some weird god power at featherweight, which is fucking wild for little guys to have power like that. It's absolutely amazing. And then we got the main event, which the only interest I have in that is because this is a rematch at this point, is fucking does Patreon finally connect? Or does Marab just fucking ragdoll the shit out of him like he does everybody else? Even when they say, oh, well, he's got a puncher's chance. Well, yeah. Marab has obviously gotten better and better and better because all of these great strikers can't seem to fucking get him. So it's a tall task, but it's going to be an interesting fight. As a whole, this card, I look on a fucking card of can to contender. This fight as a whole, or this whole card as a whole, gets contender status for me because it's pretty fucking solid. And what a great way to finish off the last ever paid per view, air quotes, for those of you who are listening, because they keep saying there's not going to be any more. Because as of January, we switched to Paramount. But I really don't fucking believe that. I'm sure there's going to be some way that they fucking sucker some people in for fucking a goddamn. Well, because guaranteed, this, their new fucking contract with Paramount will get them to UFC 400. I guarantee they're going to do something absolutely fucking ridiculous and make it a paid per view for UFC 400 at a bare minimum. That one will get it. I don't think we're done with pay per views, but I also don't think we're going to get cards as good as this on their numbered events anymore. So there is that. I mean, we're still going to get what, 48 cards a year or something like that, or 42 or whatever they decide to. It'll be just shy of a fucking full year's worth of cards, but that's because once the Rona came and they had to stop and then tried to make up everything, they're like, oh, this works much better. We can just run shit constantly. So here we are. Enjoy the last fucking card of the year, everybody. It may be worth it. I hope.
Yeah, I've got to say, as a whole, not the worst card by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying this is the best card of the year, but I'm saying this is better than a lot of the shit they gave us this year. So there is inevitably, a little bit of fluff in the beginning. Myron Santos versus Muhammad Naimov. I get it. It's an early prelim fight. Same with Anthony Tricoli versus Mansour Abdul Malik. It's an early prelim fight. I don't really think anything on the early prelims is going to be terribly exciting, but those are also the fights that aren't supposed to be terribly exciting. So if they are, it's a win-win. If they're not, we already knew going in they're probably going to suck. That's why they're the early prelims. That being said, I'm still not sure because he hasn't said himself exactly what the fuck went through his head to make Jalen Turner retire and then unretire to fight Edson fucking Barboza of all people. But I'm here for the matchup. If Jalen Turner comes in a shadow of what we saw him during his, quote unquote prime before everything happened, it could be real interesting because Edson Barboza is one of the epitomes of crafty old veteran. Like that dude is the reason we say things like allergic to boring fights because he breaks out punches, kicks, and submissions and attempts. And Edson doesn't know how to not have an exciting fight. Long as Turner can at least tow a little bit of rope, this could be a real fun matchup. I am very curious about T-Rex versus Chris Duncan here. Chris Duncan has kind of quietly been trying to get some fucking steam going here. And to his credit, T-Rex had a bit of a setback, but seems to be back on the right track after that. This fight could be very interesting, and both of those guys are chomping at the bit to get some ranked opponents. A good finish here on the final pay-per-view of 2025 could help them do that either way. So I'm curious to see how that one plays out. I am curious about the light heavyweight fight. I don't know if Timu Anthony Smith is strong enough to stop the Polish power, but I know he's going to give it a hell of a try. Guskov is not the most talented, most well-rounded fighter on the UFC roster, but that motherfucker's got that Thomas the Tank mentality. When he starts his wheels going, it's just straight down the fucking track. There ain't no slowing down. There ain't no stopping. There ain't no curves. We just fucking go, go, go. And the problem is once he gets that momentum rolling, it can do some fucking work. And Jan isn't necessarily, spent by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not in his fucking prime anymore either. And power is always the last to go. But the problem with the power being the last to go is that your chin goes before your power does. This is right about that window that Jan is starting to get in, where he's still clearly got his power. He's not quite as fast as he used to be, and we have to wonder about that chin. We've seen his chin cracked before. It's been a while, but that chin has been cracked before, and it doesn't get harder to do with age. So there could be a lot at play in this light heavyweight fight here. I think it's extremely ironic that Henry Cejudo tried to be a mentor to Peyton Talbot a year and a half ago, when Peyton was really first starting to come up here. And now he's fighting him in his retirement fight. There's just something poetic about that. And Peyton's tried to be polite about this, but he's also made it pretty clear, like, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't have, this great big reverence or respect or fear of Henry Cejudo. This is essentially just another fight, and it's his job to send Cejudo out on his ass, and he understands that. I'm kind of inclined to believe that's exactly what he's going to fucking do. Henry, in my opinion, has never been as great as he thinks he is. Peyton, on the other hand, ate a little bit of crow and has dealt with that humble pie and took it and went back to the fucking gym with it. He took his first professional L and he went back to the gym and he let it motivate him. And those are the kind of guys that we usually see do real fucking well when they come back from that situation here. The fact that it's against Henry Cejudo just makes it that much more enjoyable, in my opinion, here. I will say there was an ironic statement this week that I thought was kind of funny. Henry was asked by a reporter, "We've heard you say this before. Are you actually retiring after this fight?" And he said, "Yes, unless," and the reporter, you could hear them visibly go, Henry says, yes, he's retiring after this fight, unless the UFC is trying to put together another card for Mexican Independence Day and they would let him fight Brandon Moreno. Whether they do the Spear or they do Noche 4 or not, I don't think it's going to be on Mexican Independence Day this year just because of when it's going to fall. Also, I don't think they're going to take someone like Brandon Moreno, who is still ranked number 3 coming into this fight with Tatsuru, out of the 125 pool for a one-off fight with Henry Cejudo up at 35. There's not enough interest there. I don't think there ever has been. That's basically Henry having a hard on for Brandon doing better at 25 than he was ever able to do. So I think it's just a little bit of jealousy. I don't think there's anything actually there to work with. So hopefully Peyton does us all a favor, beats the shit out of Cejudo and sends him off into the fucking sunset crying. That being said, I'm very confused about Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuru Taira. I have no fucking clue how this fight is going to play out. I really fucking don't. I think it's going to be good because both of these guys have incredibly well-rounded skill sets. They're both very hungry individuals and they both know what's on the line here, but I have no fucking clue how that fight's going to actually play out. Co-main and main, I'm a little bit little bit torn on this here. We've had several cards in a row where the UFC is making a point to put the titles up here. It's kind of got us in the situation where we're getting Justin versus Patty for the interim, almost because we've had title fights at the top of every pay-per-view this year. And they kind of have to go with that theme at this point because they've set the bar for themselves so fucking high. I don't mind seeing 2 title fights at the top of a card. The problem is that it leaves us for the possibility that we got literally coming out of the last pay-per-view where the co-main event was for a title. So it's 5 rounds. That's 25 minutes potentially. And it was a long 25 minutes. It was a good fight, but it was a long 25 minutes. And then we got to the main event and fucking Three Stooges all over again. So having the main and co-main both be title fights, it's risky, man. It really is. I do like that they said for UFC 325, we got Volk versus Diego running it back for the main event. Nothing for the co yet. I get why they're putting Amanda versus Kayla as the co-main event for 324, but that's just reinforcing what we're looking at right fucking now. I don't think that Pantoja versus Van is going to be a bad fight, even if it goes a full 25, but I am willing to bet you every penny in my fucking wallet, unless Marab pulls off a crazy submission, that main event is going 25 minutes. That means that the last 2 fights on the last pay-per-view, potentially ever, at the very minimum, the last pay-per-view card of 2025, the last 2 fights alone could take almost a fucking hour with walkouts. That's part of why people don't give a fuck about boxing, because why would you really give a fuck about an hour and a half long boxing match with 2 dudes who don't really mean anything yet and aren't really going to potentially put on the greatest fight, even if it doesn't go the whole distance? That's not what we've got here. That's boxing. But I'm saying that model is kind of being imprinted onto the UFC at this point. Maybe it's because Dana's got his dick in the boxing world again. Maybe it's not, but I don't know. I feel like Van's got a real good shot here, but I also feel like the MMA gods are being real fucking cruel this year. And I feel like Van is going to get that taste, but he's not going to get the belt. I think Pantoja is going to be able to hold him off just long enough. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be one-sided, but I think Pantoja is going to be able to do enough to outpoint him for 25 minutes. And that's cool. Sometimes that's how you got to win. But like I said, when that leads us into potentially 25 minutes for the co-main and then 25 minutes on top of that for the main event, plus walkouts, it could be a real long night. Could be a lot of fun, but it could be a real long night Saturday. That's what I'm saying.
Appreciate you, boys. And hopefully the shit turns out to be a good one.
Thank you very much, sir. So that'll bring us to the point where one segment of the show does actually require its own individual disclaimer. So if you will. Tapology.com in no way, shape, or form supports, sponsors, or endorses the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does give you the option to go onto their website, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on there, so we made one. It's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group, and then let us know who you are, and we will hold your picks accountable with our picks in a segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
The thing is, this is my last outing of the year. I'm here. I want to remind everybody, when we started this podcast way back in the day, my beard was not fucking gray. It takes a toll on us here. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of you are watching this for free because you're some cheap motherfuckers, and that's okay. You want to be a cheap motherfucker, be a cheap motherfucker. But be the kind of cheap motherfucker that comes over to Tapology, creates a free account, joins the group for free. lets us know who you are so we can give you a pat on the back when you do well, or tell you when you've ran over your dick with a steamroller. We'll do that for you. And it doesn't cost a dime. It's group 965. I'm no bookie. However, you got to find it. Now, if you are one of the few that are not the cheapskate and are a member of the Patreon that's swinging down below there, thank you. But if you're not on Tapology, still get your ass over there because it's fucking free. Anyhow, let's get into this here. We're going all the way back to the Doha card, Saturday, November 22nd, which would be, fuck, that was 2 weeks ago now. And that was the Sarukian Hooker card. Not surprised the way the main event played out the way that it did. To be quite honest, you kind of saw that one coming. I think Hooker's at the end of his fucking line. But anyhow, congratulations are in order to Donna for last week, taking home the top spot with 11 of 14 correct. Myself and Christian right behind her at 670 points. She had 685. Now, the caveat to that statement is the only reason Christian is right there is because he got a couple lucky perfect picks. Otherwise, he'd be down in like fucking third or fourth. I mean, either way, 10 of 14 is not bad, but I'm just saying 11 of 14 is better. So, by virtue of how many picks are correct, technically I'll take the second spot. But we're not here to split hairs. Anyhow, what we are here to do, though, is also tell you when somebody tripped over their dick. And I want to say this is a very light tripping over the dick, because with 9 of 14 correct, those are still great fucking numbers. Vindog, fucking bringing it home 9 of 14. I don't think he tripped over it. I think it was just a good week for fucking everybody. Look, when the lowest person in our group is 9 of 14 correct, that tells you something about how fucking good the group is. Just saying, bring yourselves over. See how you stack up. If you think you're fucking smarter than us, come fucking prove it. There's ways. If you think you know better than we do, prove it. And yes, I understand everybody will have an off week. So even if you come in your first week, the nerves get the best of you and you make some terrible picks, I'm still going to talk shit about you that week. But the next week you might do well and you get a pat on the back. Because look, I already forgot who won the week previous. Actually, no, I didn't. It was me. But that's only because it was me. So either way. Now, for that, with that all being stated here, let's do the one last thing that I'm gonna do here as far as the fucking I'm no bookie fucking Tapology group is concerned. And that is the four set of what I can't even call it a Grand Prix. I'm just calling it an end of year fuckery. The end of year fuckery contest. Right now, I still have a slim lead over Donna, even though she took fucking first this week, beat me by 15 points, which leaves me at 1325. Donna is at 1315. Christian, like I said, when you have 10 to 14, is at 1265. Kind of deserves that third spot, kind of like he did this week. But the point gods are with him. Meter doing quite well there. Sitting in the fourth spot at 1245. At this point, with two fucking events left, it's still anybody's card. Old Don sitting in the fifth spot at 1110. And Vindog sitting there at a 1050. Still, with only 4 events in this end of year fuckery event, anybody can have a really bad week or forget to put your picks in. If you forget to put your picks in, kiss your ass goodbye. Yeah, that's what it is. But now, with all that being stated, we're going to move on to the important things this weekend, which is some odds from UFC 323. Excuse me, my tongue and brain decided to stop working together there temporarily. But you'll have that from time to time. As being said, I think because they've been back in action a lot lately, and I'm glad to see it, we're sticking with BetMGM. We're going to use the BetMGM odds. Now, with that being stated, know that if you're looking at odds, they may differ somewhere else. For the most part, a lot of these are very much coin flippy. There's only a couple that are I won't even call them wide, but okay, let me rephrase that. There's one super wide odds car on here, but the rest of them are pretty coin flippy. So I'm only gonna cover some of the farther apart ones here. And one of those is going to be with an Edson Barboza and Jalen Turner. Turner is coming back as a minus 300 favorite over a plus 240 in an aging Edson Barboza. Not a super wide odds, but it's a little bit there. Uh, Another one that I want to touch in passing here, Henry Cejudo and Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot trying to take the fucking old dog out to pasture there is coming in as a minus 275 favorite over a plus 225 underdog in Henry Cejudo. So with that, you got a fucking little bit of wide odds there. Now, the widest odds on the card come in the fucking early prelim. I think it's early prelims. Mansour Abdul Malik and Antonio Tricoli. Abdul Malik coming in as a minus 1400 favorite over a plus 800 underdog in Antonio Tricoli. That is the widest odds on the entirety of the card. But again, like I say, with any of those guys that are very young into their career, you have to take that as a grain of salt because anything fucking crazy can happen when you're that wet behind the ears. Now, as normal, we'll cover the co-main and main. I am surprisingly going. I'm give some surprising odds here to me, and that is in Alexandre Pantoja and Joshua Van fight in the co-main here. They've only got Pantoja as a minus 235 favorite and Joshua Van as a plus 190 underdog. To be honest, I thought that was going to be slightly wider odds than that, purely on the punching power of Pantoja. But on the other side of that, everybody has seen what Joshua Van has done so far, and he is on a fucking rocket ship to the goddamn moon. And we'll see if he can pull off the slight underdog that he's got this week. Not one to bet the house on, but it's available to you. Oh, the main event, to nobody's surprise, Marab the Machine Dvalishvili is sitting as a minus 425 favorite over Patron No Mercy Jan, sitting as a plus 320 underdog. Pretty wide odds, not surprising. It is what it is. But those are the odds we've got this week. I will not be giving you odds next week because I will not fucking be here. I will be on a jet plane in Florida somewhere or in Florida somewhere. One of the two. Depends on whether flights get delayed. With that being said, we will move on to greener pastures. Don't forget to come over and join Tapology. It's absolutely free, you cheapskate sons or bitches. Do it for us. Come join us. Just bragging rights.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciated. We originally were going to have a special guest this evening since it is the last pay-per-view of the year, but life comes first. Unfortunately, the guest was not able to make it. I have got some things going on in the background right now, so I am actually going to have to take off here. So unfortunately, we are not going to be able to do the pit again this evening. So you're just going to have to make sure that you come back first thing 2026 for the pay-per-view so you can catch our pits there. That being said, when we wrap things up around here Thursday nights, that is not the end of the fun. Friday mornings, pretty much every Friday morning, he's over there now. This gentleman over here and his other half will drop their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast as well as their social medias and their very own channel on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down in the links below. Whether you are watching or listening, click on it and tell them how good they're doing.
Appreciate you, brother. You can't forget to show the love to the Brother Golf T Vapes, especially since he's going on vacation here. Everything the brother has going on. All of his social medias and everything should be linked as well in the description. Make sure you follow all of his shit. Give the brother some love, and hope he has a good time on the vacation.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, while I'm gone and in my absence, you're going to need some time to fill because I can't fill it for you. So go fill that time. Go check out the many things that the meter does do. Go to Linktree / the meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm no Joe. It will take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do. And fill in that time void. Well, you don't get to see me for the next fucking, month? Because I'm going to be gone. And you're going to miss me in January, too, because I've got an actual vacation in January. This one is just for fucking family matters. So, you're going to miss me for like 2 weeks in fucking January. That's all I'm saying. But, yeah, go check out the meter. He's got a lot of stuff, including some reviews that are constantly coming out. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you are a fan of the devil's lettuce and all the shenaniganry that comes along with it, definitely make sure you check out my other link for my other channel. There is constant chaos coming out over there. But that is all we have got for this particular episode. So if you are brand new, first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. You picked a weird time because we're about to go on a 6-week long fucking break. If you're not new and you've been here for a while, thanks for coming back. We appreciate just the same. If you like what we get up to around here, thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and turn your notifications on so you don't miss a single episode of this. We try and do the show pretty much every Thursday when there are fights to talk about live on youtube.com/I'mNoJoe. Also dual cast to twitch.tv/I'mNoJoe, whichever is easiest for you. We leave the replays up. If you miss us and you miss the replay intentionally, we get that because we also own mirrors. And for that reason, the week after we go live, the all audio version goes up at anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. Pick those up, your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google, Spotify, Apple, you name it. It's all run through there and it's all free just the same as it is here. That being said, if you like what we get up to around here a lot and you want to help out, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe is the best way to do that. As little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving. Every single every single patron of our Patreon gets their name on the end of every broadcast on this channel. First and foremost, to let everyone know how awesome you are helping us do what we do. Secondly, and more importantly, you get access to the unrestricted and unairable content. All the behind the scenes bullshit is all there. Plus, we are now putting out Patreon exclusive content as well. So definitely get bang for your buck, and we appreciate the help. That being said, the other side of that coin, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.